hello.
Welcome in Ermelo, welcome in the Longines FEI WBFSH Dressage World Breeding Championship for young horses. We're about to start with the Longines final voor de 6-year-old horses. Over enkele ogenblikken gaan we van start met de Longines finale voor de 6-jarige dressuurpaarden. Longines is proud to be the title partner and the official timekeeper of the Longines FEI WBFSH World Breeding Dressage Championships for young horses. The brand is also delighted to present the official watch of the event, a new model from the iconic Hydro Conquest collection, which combines technical excellence and traditional elegance, both distinguishing hallmarks of Longines. The Longines final for 6-year-old horses. I would like to introduce the judges to you, the judges at sea. Annette Fransen Jacobes from Sweden, Christoph Hess aus Deutschland, Isabel Wessels for Great Britain, and Marietta Almazi de la France. The comment will come from Mr. Christoph Hess, the comment after the test. Please take your seats.
Good morning and welcome to the Longines FEI WBFSH Dressage World Breeding Championships for young horses, and welcome to the final for the 6-year-old horses that we have this morning. A really exciting class that we have coming up. We have a total of 15 horses, 12 came straight from the qualifiers and 3 came from the 6-year-old small final that we were lucky enough to watch yesterday morning. So the first horse in is straight Horse Ascenzione, ridden by Helena Hannenberg. They qualified through coming third in the small finals. This is a beautiful mare, a Danish warm blood by Blue Horse Zach, out of a Blue Horse Don Chiffreau mare. Obviously, Helen is no stranger to the arena, being a multi-medalist from Olympic, World and European Championships. But today, she is coming down the centre line in this 6-year-old finals, riding straight Horse Ascenzione. A really beautiful, elastic, off-the-floor trot. Naturally nice and uphill, covering the ground in that medium trot. Could have maybe just extended the frame slightly there as well. A lovely angle in the shoulder in. A little bit of a tilt, I think, on that. Yeah, a little bit of a tilt on the circle. Just lost the shape slightly there on the second half as well, but a beautiful half pass. It's unbelievable to think that these are 6-year-old horses. They're already so balanced. Maybe slightly modest on the extended trot. Some tension in the mouth there. You can just see her opening her mouth to the side. Apart from that, it was a nice shoulder in. Better half pass this way. More supple through the body and in the bend. And a lovely downward transition to walk. Super relaxed in the arena. She was yesterday in the small final. Nice and straight on the diagonal. Showing lovely relaxation in the contact. I think for the higher marks, the walk could march a little bit more and potentially have a bit more freedom of the shoulder. A nice preparation for the pirouette. Nice and tidy there. Could have maybe just had a tiny bit more activity. That's better. You can see that one was slightly bigger, and I think that definitely helped Helen. A nice uphill canter. Showing a clear difference in the medium strides. Lovely clean change. You could see then before she did the flying change, the horse had a greater moment of suspension, and if she could maintain that through the whole of the canter, it's actually getting better as she does more canter. But the judges are going to really want to see that moment of suspension. Oh, slight loss of balance before the change. Just losing a little bit of straightness at the beginning of the canter, but definitely regained it before the change. Again, a lovely clear difference shown in the transitions in the canter work. The 6-year-old final test is a lot longer than the qualifier, so interesting to see how the horses are going to cope with that. Also, greater level of difficulty. It's a really lovely trot after the canter. Much looser after the canter. Lovely extended trot, really beautiful. Just one little moment of a loss of balance as they went over the centre line. It creates such a wonderful, harmonious picture. And there she is, Helena Hannenberg, riding straight Horse Ascenzione for the first horse to go in the 6-year-old finals. This beautiful mare by Blue Horse Zach out of a Blue Horse Don Zucrow mare. So we are going to hear from Christoph Hess, the judge at sea.
Dochter van Blue Horse Zach, maal Blue Horse Don Zucrow. En dan in de moederlijn vervolgens nog de Holsteiner hengst Lionel.
Yeah, good morning everybody. Good morning from the judges' boxes. We are happy having the honor, having the chance to give marks, to explain everything what we did, and it's a brilliant day, and we started with a wonderful test, and I think it's a very good start into this sunny Sunday, and we saw a trot in the beginning and at the end of the test, which is an expressive one, nice in rhythm, good suppleness, a lovely elasticity and a good impulsion, lovely swinging over the back with a very active hind leg, and she was able to ride the different ways in the trot, the collection, the medium trot and the extension. Okay, the extension was more into the direction of medium trot, which was good. She was not over asking the trot, but she was able to give the horse a nice uphill tendency. This is what we want to see, and we start with a very good mark. We start with a 9.2 for the trot. And then the walk. The walk is quite difficult, much more difficult than in the first qualification here and second qualification, small final, because in this test they have to do these pirouettes and walk, and this horse has a very lovely rhythm and walk, and Helen was able to produce the extension and then the collection to ride the pirouettes and walk, which is a true challenge in this test. And lovely, first pirouette was a little bit smaller, not so well balanced. Second was a little bit larger, but well balanced. But we saw that the rhythm and walk was lovely, therefore an 8.5 for the walk. And then the canter with a very good uphill tendency, a very good ability to collect good ground cover. Maybe in the extension she could have a little bit more, a longer moment of suspension, but it was very clever done, not to over-ask the horse, good concentration from the very first step and stride in this test till the last one. Therefore we give an 8.8 for the canter. And then submission. This horse is trained 100% into the right direction. Suppleness, contact, straightness, everything is very good. The standard of training on the basis of the training scale is exactly into the direction we want to see it. And she had lovely half passes and shoulder in movements. The second half pass was a little bit more balanced than the very first one, and the fourth flying change is clean. I would say that was not the highlight, especially the very first and the third flying change, a little bit short behind, but on the right way with all four flying changes. No flying change was weak or had a problem. Therefore, submission 9.0, and the perspective, the potential as a dressage horse, ability to collect and take weight 9.2. What a super result. Congratulations for our first horse together.
Some fantastic scores there for
Thanks,
Helen
Mr.
Langenhallenberg.
Points
An
again for
8.94 points,
Horse
obviously
Ascenzione.
straight
Trot
into the
9
lead,
points to
being the
walk,
first horse to go,
8.5
but a
canter,
9.2 for the
8.8
trot, an
submission,
8.5 for
9.0
the walk, an
perspective,
8.8 for the
9.2
canter, a 9 for the
8.9
submission, and a 9.2 for perspective. So a total there of 8.94. I think that might be at the top of the leaderboard for a little while. But let's see what the next challenger can come in with. They were the winner of the small final yesterday. Von Osterholm from Finland, riding Ironman H, the 6-year-old stallion KWPM by Bordeaux out of Rossi-Omer. They scored an 8.9 for their trot, a 9 for the walk, a 9 for the canter, an 8.8 for submission, and a 9.1 for perspective. They totaled in 8.96.
Ironman H representing KWP en Koninklijk Arnhem Paardenstamboek Nederland met de Finse Yvonne Osterholm, second rider with the stallion Ironman H.
She rode this horse last year in the 5-year-olds. They were 13th last year with a total score of 8. So let's see if they can do one better in the 6-year-olds this year. A big, powerful stallion. Just, I feel, lost the balance slightly in that medium trot. Maybe a little bit hurried onto the shoulder. Fantastic angle there in the shoulder in. Can really clearly see it's on the 3 tracks. Again, a beautiful angle in the half pass. Just losing a tiny bit of balance there towards the end. Clearly showing good transitions within the trot. Just sometimes losing his focus. You can see him tending to look around himself in the atmosphere. It's just not looking quite as relaxed as the last horse that we saw. Nice and relaxed in the walk, showing good ground cover. Again, could march a little bit more into the walk and just take a little bit more rein in the extension. Just lost a bit of activity going into the pirouette. Going into that one and maintains the activity throughout. Again, for the higher marks, you just want to see a bit more positivity in the walk. Good uphill tendency in the canter. Again, really going for those mediums. Good clean flying change, more expressive than the last horse. Again, there you can just see the horse coming up at her in the bridle, showing a bit of tension and just losing the balance slightly. It's just not quite, for me, as harmonious as the last partnership. Really super flying change. From this angle it looked again a little bit crooked, like the same as the last horse. It's quite difficult to keep the straightness coming off of the canter down the long side. You know, they're young horses and they're not as strong as the horses that we'll see this afternoon in the 7-year-old finals. Let's see how she is this side. Nice and straight that side. Just losing the balance in the extended trot. Again, a difficult movement to ride when they've just had their canter tour. But down the centre line comes Yvonne Oosterholm riding the wonderful stallion Ironman H. Ironman H is a KWPN by Bordeaux out of a Rossio mare.
Approved stallion, Ironman H.
An approved stallion.
Son of Bordeaux, Rosso, and
absolutely stunning to watch.
WBFSH.
Let's see what Christoph Hess has to say about this partnership.
Mr. Hess, it is all up to you.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is our very international combination. Dutch horse, Finnish bred rider. Both are based in Sweden, I said it yesterday. And we see her again here in the final. She was the winner of the small final. And she started in a very nice way. And to be honest, it's not easy for young horses to have 3 classes on this level at the World Championships. And he had to do this, but he did a good job, to be honest. He did a good job and nice. He started with a very nice impression into the trot part of this test. Good rhythm, nice suppleness, fairly good in the elasticity, good impulsion, but the horse could swing a little bit more over the back, and to be honest, in the extension especially, and in both mediums, the horse was a little bit hurried. And one time, when you had ridden at the last diagonal, the extended trot, because the very first 2 diagonals are medium trot, the third one is extended trot, the horse lost a little bit the balance. Therefore, it was a good trot, therefore an 8, but it was not a brilliant trot today, 8.2. Then the walk, as we see it now, absolutely clear in rhythm from my personal point of view, and we see it now as well. Yvonne could ask a little bit more in the extension between M and E on the short diagonal. She was riding the walk, but I think she could ask a little bit more. And then in the collection, especially we can see it now on the screen, before she starts into the pirouette left, the horse lost a little bit the rhythm, but the second one was better. So the left one was not as good as the second one. 7.9 for the walk. The highlight, I hope the spectators will agree, was the canter. Wonderful uphill with a very, very good 3-beat rhythm, supple, a true natural balance, good impulsion, and we think with a quite good ability to collect good ground cover, and the whole part in the canter work was with a good uphill tendency. Maybe the horse could stretch a little bit more the neck, more open throat ledge, in the extension, which we can see now very good on the screen. A little bit more nose line in front, but please applause. 9.3 for the canter. And for submission, an 8.6. Everything is good, a little bit more bending, especially to the right side in the half passes, but the horse is trained into a good direction, and therefore 8.6 is a good mark, and we are sure that it's a horse with a good prospect for the future in the international arena. Therefore 8.8 for the perspective, the potential as a dressage horse, the ability to collect and to take weight. Very good. Congratulations to Holland, Finland and Sweden.
So a great mark there for Yvonne Oosterholm, riding Ironman H, the beautiful approved stallion, riding for Finland, an 8.2 for the trot, a 7.9 for the walk, a 9.3 for the canter, 8.6 for submission and 8.8 for perspective. 8.56 and into second place for Yvonne Oosterholm for Finland.
Deze Ironman H ook op plaats 2 met 8,398 punten. Well, so close. Then we go to Independent Little Me.
Next rider into the arena is Dinja van Leer, riding Independent Little Me. They are representing the Netherlands. This is a stallion, another KWPN by Uno Don Diego, out of a San Remo mare. As they come down their first centre line, Dinja van Leer riding Independent Little Me. Lovely striking chestnut stallion. Just a little bit behind the vertical there to start with. I'd like to see that neck out a little more. This has a lot of power coming from behind, matched well in front. That's a better frame there. Not just tucked behind the vertical again. It's a nice soft horse. Supple in the lateral work, showing lovely crossing. Again, lovely steps in the medium trot. Just like to see the neck extending slightly as well. Balance issues in that shoulder in. A nice rhythm in the walk. Is a good camera angle to see if the horses are truly straight in the walk. That's a beautiful straight line there, 2E, showing a good stretch. Again, could just march a little bit more in the walk. Nice ground cover in the medium walk. Activity through the pirouette. Just again dropping the pole there. Keeping the activity nicely. We want to see the pole at the highest point throughout the whole test, and that's just been the one thing that I would remark about it so far is I'd just like to see the horse's nose out a little bit more in front of him. Lovely transitions in the canter, showing a really clear difference between medium canter and the working canter. A good clear 3-beat rhythm and a nice clean change. Better in the frame in the canter. Good change. It wasn't quite on the 8th. She asked a couple of steps earlier than she got the change, so that will just affect her submission marks slightly. Again, another nice change. Not quite straight, you could just hear him kicking the boards. Again, a lovely clear difference shown between the working canter and the extended canter. Anticipating the flying change a little there, but she got it and it was nice and clean. A little bit late coming back to trot. He was enjoying his canter too much. Lovely in the extended trot. Some really nice steps. And coming down their final centre line, Ginger Van Leer riding Independent Little Me. She seems really pleased with her test. Independent Little Me is by Bruno Don Diego out of a San Remo mare.
Ginger Van Leer met Independent Little Me.
A very striking stallion. Let's hear what Christoph has to say.
Ladies and gentlemen, Independent Little Me. What a name, what a horse, what a wonderful potential to move in all 3 gates. A horse with a trot, lovely in the rhythm, very nice, a suppleness, and very, very nice elasticity and a good impulsion. And the horse has a fairly good possibility to swing over the back and having a good covering ground ability, as the ability to collect is really good. I think it was interesting to watch the horse, and that's nice to see the horse in the beginning in the trot tour and at the end as well. Whenever the horse was in the collected trot, the horse was a little bit short in the neck and the pole was not truly highest point. Whenever you were riding, and we can see it now on the screen, it looks nearly perfect in the medium trot and in the extension. Have a look. Then it's absolutely amazing that the nose line is at the vertical and the pole is the highest point. Therefore, in the future, be careful with your hands that the horse is always in front of you and pole is the highest point. But nevertheless, a wonderful mechanic in the trot, 8.7 the mark for the trot. The walk, when we see the horse now, a lovely, lovely body language, relaxation is really tip-top with this horse. And he has a lovely activity, a good covering ground, and a nice rhythm in the extension, in the medium, and in the collected walk. Have a look. That's a wonderful walk, 8.8. And the canter, very similar with as a trot. Whenever you were able to ride medium or extended canter, it was lovely, nose line in front, and pole highest point. In the collection, the horse was a little bit overbent, and not enough seekings a bit. Be careful with your hands as an advice. But in canter, the self-carriage was a little bit better than in the trot. Therefore, the highest score for the 3 gates, 8.9 for the canter. The submission, lovely flying changes. First and third flying change are the flying changes to the left side, a true highlight. But the other 2 flying changes are clean as well. And I think in the lateral work, the horse needs a little bit more balance and bending, but young horse, this will be better in the future, we are sure. But the mark will a little bit lower. Why? Because the horse was sometimes a little bit short in the neck, pole not highest point, and the throat ledge should be a little bit more open. Therefore, 8.2 for the submission today, and the highest mark for the perspective, the potential as a dressage horse. We think it's a very, very good dressage horse. 9.4 for this mark. Well done, congratulations, a wonderful stallion.
Some lovely remarks there from Christoph Hessen, some really good words of wisdom there for Dina van Leer, riding independent Little Me, and 8.7 for the trot, and 8.8 for the walk, and 8.9 for the canter, and 8.2 for submission, and a 9 for perspective. That gives them a total of 8.72. And that puts them just behind Helen Landberg. She is in the lead with an impressive 8.94.
Spectator judging. More and more people are joining us in spectator judging. Steeds meer bezoekers weten de app te vinden en doen mee hier met spectator judging. Dan gaan we nu kijken naar Imposantos.
The arena is Bart Vries, also for the Netherlands, riding the 6-year-old bay stallion Imposantos. He is a KWPN by Winton, out of a Craxi mare.
Imposantos met Bart Vries.
Last year, this partnership were in the 5-year-old finals and finished in 7th place with 8.92. So here we have, it's not Ginger Van Leer, that's the horse that we just saw. We are watching now Bart Vries on Imposantos. Really elastic trot. Can clearly see the difference there between the working trot and the medium. Maybe just seen a little bit more suppleness through those corners. Super angle. And just see again him opening his mouth, showing a little bit of resistance. Losing the balance in the corners sometimes. Super steps in the medium. I think if he could just get a little bit more suppleness through his inside leg around the corners, it would just set him up. That's better. Better that time. Just set him up nicely for the next movement. Really nice swing through the body and the trot. Nice ground covering walk. Really relaxed. This horse is definitely marching a little more than the other two. It's got purpose. I always feel like in the extended walk, or actually in any walk, you want to think that the horse is going out for a hack. They're really purposeful, they're really marching, and that's definitely what I would say this horse is. Good activity in the pirouette. Could have just been a little bit more on the spot. That's better. Slightly pivoted in the first one. You want to see the hind leg stepping up and down on the same spot. Lovely big canter, really good uphill tendency. You can see him really using that hind leg. A little bit of an anticipation in the flying change, didn't quite come off perfectly there. And again, more problems. The problem's definitely coming from behind in the changes. Let's see if he can get them better on the track. Good balance in the counter-canter. Really swings into the changes. That one was clean. This horse has a lot of natural activity. Really forward-thinking horse. Bit close behind again on that one. Nice and expressive in front. Be interesting to see what Christoph has to say about those. I think that will be affecting his submission mark slightly. Slightly hurried maybe in that final extended trot. Beautiful trot here down the centre line, coming into their final halt for the 6-year-old final. We have Bart Fries on Imposantos, the KWPN stallion by Winton out of an IPS crack
Heerlijk enthousiast
mare.
hier op de tribune. Voor deze
Super relaxed in the arena. A very, very smart stallion indeed. Let's hear from Christoph Hess.
Mr. Hess.
I think, ladies and gentlemen, Imposantos is a name and Imposantos is a program. And especially when we see the walk of the horse, it's an amazing walk, and the rider was able to produce a walk in a very, very good way. Why was he able to do it? Because without one part of the test, he was the whole time able to have the horse in a very, very, very good way in front of his driving aids. And this is the secret of riding walk in a good way. When you have the horse in trot and canter good in front of you, then you're able to produce a walk. And he was able to produce a walk with long steps, very good in rhythm, good relaxation, and with an active, not hurried walk. This was absolutely amazing to see the horse on the diagonal between M and E, and then a nice collected walk just to prepare the both periods. Well done, and especially the second period was lovely. Therefore, the highest score of the day so far, and the highest score for him, a 9.8 for the gate walk. And nearly as good as the walk is a trot, or was a trot. Very, very good in rhythm, very nice in the medium and in the extension. We just can see it on the screen. Very natural and very, very smooth transitions, and a good over-tracking in the extension and in the two medium diagonals. Very, very good ridden, and and the horse was listening in a very sensitive way to the driving aids of the rider, and therefore we give a 9.5 for movement number 2. A little bit weaker today, the canter, good in rhythm, supple, but the horse could have a little bit more uphill tendency, and on the long side between H and K, and we could see it easily from C, the horse was in the extension, not absolutely straight. Therefore, for this gate, an 8.8. Today, the weakest mark we have to give is a mark for the submission. I think all spectators could see it, and the rider did feel it as well. He's smiling. Why? It was today a little bit the problem with the flying changes, and then we see how difficult it is to have 4 flying changes. In the qualification and in the small final we had only 2 flying changes. Today we had 4 flying changes, and the horse, to be honest, is not absolutely safe in these flying changes. The horse was the whole time in front of the rider's driving aids, but in the flying changes, just when he wanted to give the aids, the horse was a little bit behind the driving aids, and then he was, not jumping through the body. He was, not really through, not listening enough to the aids, and this was the problem in all 4 flying changes. The best was a 3rd flying change, but this flying change was not really straight. Therefore, we give a 7.8 for submission, and for the perspective, the potential as a dressage horse, an 8.8. Well done, congratulations.
So good scores there for Bartfries and Imposantos. 9.5 for the trots, 9.8 for that beautiful walk, 8.8 for the canter, 7.8 for submission, 8.8 for perspective, and 8.94 into second place. But interestingly, the same score as Helena Hanneberg. She also scored an 8.942. So some really super scores so early on in the 6-year-old championships. So next into the arena, Cecilia Christopherson and Skywalker. This pair came in 16th place in the qualifier, and in the small final they were second, behind Yvonne Osterholm and Ironman H. They scored 8.82 in the small final to qualify for this 6-year-old final. So here we have Cecilia Christopherson and Skywalker. Oh, just lost the balance there in the medium trot, sorry. Just pushing him out slightly of his natural rhythm. Again, losing a bit of balance. A little too much angle in the shoulder in. I think she's really going for it, and in doing so, she's just pushing him a little bit too forward and out of his natural rhythm. I think she just needs to give him a little bit more time in today's test. Yeah, again there, just loss of balance. Better shoulder in this way. A lot of riders do this. You feel the pressure going into a big competition and you want to do your absolute best, and it's a common thing to just override and just push too much. Again, really marching in that walk. A nice stretch down got a really good rhythm in the walk. Just lost a bit of activity. Oh, naughty pony. That's going to really affect her submission marks. You could just see going into that pirouette, he just lost the activity. And there was a bit of a temptation to do it there again, but she rescued it well. This horse has a really huge ground covering canter. Lost a bit of suppleness around that corner. Oh, and he's definitely ahead of her in those flying changes. Late behind in that one. There we go, she's got it. Just losing some suppleness in the canter. Much better change that time. A little pat for a reward. Covering the ground in that extended canter. Better suppleness this way. Good balance in the counter-canter. Slightly better change than the second one. Lost a bit of engagement behind there in the extended trot. Really covered the ground though, and really very, very active. I just feel like today she just lost some of that harmonious picture that she had yesterday in the 6-year-old small final. It was just a little bit more erratic and just pushed a little bit too much out of his natural rhythm. But let's see what Christoph has to say.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, horses are like humans. They have good days and they have not so good day. And a Skywalker has wonderful days. And yesterday he was moving to the sky, and today he was more on the earth and was not in a mental and physical balance. And we don't know why it happened, but it happened. And therefore, we have to pet the horse and give the horse now a good feeling. And this is what's important is, and Cecilia is doing it in a very, very nice way so that the horse trusts the situation. And I think everybody knew that there was not enough balance, a little bit hurried in the trot, therefore a 7.8 for this gate. In the walk, more overtrack, we give a 7.4. The horse was tense, and then you saw the problem in the first period. The canter 7.2, a little bit fast and hurried. And then, to be honest, we have to give a very low mark for the submission because of the resistance and the tension in the walk, and especially in the flying changes, which today was very, very bad. Therefore, 5.9 submission, 7.5 for the perspective. And tomorrow is a new day. And the day after tomorrow, you will have a lovely, lovely horse again under the saddle. Well done. It is as it is. Good luck for the future, and give him a good feeling when he leaves the arena. Thank you very much indeed.
En die Skywalker
Some
die zullen we
nice words
zeker nog
there
aan
from
terugzien.
Christoph
Maar dan
Hess.
geven we
Some
de
words of
punten. Trot
encouragement for
7-8,
Cecilia
walk
Christofferson
7-4, canter
riding
7-2,
Skywalker.
submission
7.8 for the trot, 7.4 for the walk, 7.2 for the canter, 5.9 for the submission, and 7.5 for perspective. A total of 7.16 points, and into fifth. Representing Sweden, Skywalker is by Zudenwind, 1187 out for Bernstein.
Then we welcome now the number 6.
So into the arena
Simone
now
Pearce
is Simone Pearce riding DSP Marc Cain. He is an approved stallion by Millennium out of the Don Primero mare.
Simone Pearce.
Simone took the ride on this horse earlier this year. She also has a horse in the 7-year-old. She was part of the Helga Strand dressage team for 3 years. However, she is now developing her own training business in Germany. She was the first Australian to qualify for both the World 5-year-old and 6-year-old finals in 2017. Here she starts her test. Simone Pearce riding DSP Marc Cain. A wonderfully uphill horse. Really elastic in this trot. Good angle in the shoulder in. Sometimes losing the balance in the trot. Oh, like that. Lovely supple horse. Lovely angle in the half pass. A good rhythm in the walk. This partnership were 12th, so they got the last qualifying place into the finals from the qualifiers just a few days ago with a final score of 8.2. Good activity in the pirouettes. Wonderful uphill canter. Super strides in the medium canter. This horse has a fantastic moment of suspension. Good clean change. I think as he gets stronger, they're just going to become more and more expressive. Again, another good change. good change, not quite straight. Just see him tapping the boards. Huge ground covering, extended canter. Better change that time on the track. And a good transition back to trot. Just lost a little bit of swing through the back in that extended trot. You could just see him hollowing slightly in the outline. But down into their final halt. It is Simon Pearce riding the wonderful DSP Marc Cain. A stallion by millennium out of a Dom Primero mare representing Australia.
Marc Cain, de hengst, de goedgekeurde hengst, Marc Cain.
A really lovely test. Let's see what Christoph has to say.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this horse, Marc Cain, ridden by Simon, coming from very far away from down under Australia to the sunny place in Holland, in Ermelo. Well done, a good decision to come. And she had, performed on a good standard. To be honest, the whole marks we have to give her an 8 in front of the comma. And the trot is in rhythm. The horse was more or less the whole time supple. We had, when she was in the trot part of the test, the feeling that she was overriding the horse a little bit. This is the challenge of the final in the World Championships, that you ask, but that you don't over-ask. And it's a long way to come to the final. You have 2 days to go, the qualification, and then to have the horse in a good form, and mentally you have to stay in a good form as well, and then asking, not over-asking. She was, at least we think, a little bit over-asking, overriding the horse. Therefore she had a problem in the second medium. Nevertheless, it's a trot with a good prospect. Therefore we give an 8.4. Now we see the canter on the screen. Canter is good when she is riding forward. The extended canter was fairly good, or it was good. In the collection and in the counter canter, the horse needs a little bit more using the hind legs, a little bit more uphill tendency, and the ability to collect is okay, but not perfect. Therefore we give an 8.6 for the canter. And the walk, as we see it now, is good in rhythm, no problem. And she was able to ride the collected walk and the extended walk in a nice way, 8.5. And the submission, 8.5 as well. Lovely flying changes, all clear and clean, all 4 flying changes. But the mouth was a little bit dry, and in the very first period the horse was in rhythm, but no bend. Second period was better, and more bending and flexion is important, and balance in the lateral work. Therefore 8.5 for submission, and for the prospect of the horse, 8.6. Congratulations, well done, and good luck for your future.
So there we have it, a total of 8.52 points for Simone Pearce, riding DSP Marc Cain. We have an 8.4 for the trot, an 8.5 for the walk, 8.6 for the canter, 8.5 for submission, and an 8.6 for perspective, putting her into 5th place. Wonderful stallion by Millennium out of the Dom Primero.
Oh, you placed them on 2, 8.551 spectator judging. Well, it was a wonderful day for the KWBN yesterday with the final for the 5-year-old horses.
We have Hans-Peter Minderhund
KWBN
in
horse
style.
Andreas Helpsand, who won the World Championship for
This
5-year-old
partnership
horses.
were 8th
Again,
in the
KWBN
qualifier
now
with an
in style, the approved stallion
8.3
by
for the trot and
eye-catcher
8.6 for the walk and 9 for
Hans
the canter
Peter
and
Minderhund.
8
Dames en
for
heren,
the submission
graag uw aandacht
and
weer.
an
We zijn inmiddels aanbeland bij
8.8
start nummer
for the
7
perspective
in style.
with an 8.5 for final mark. In style is by eye catcher out of a Loreton 1 mare. So into the arena we have Hans-Peter Minderhund riding in style. Hugely expressive horse in the trot, really covering the ground. Ideally I would have liked to have seen the frame extend a little in the medium trot as well. Some lovely steps though. Good angle in the shoulder in. Slight head tilt at the beginning and then a little bit of resistance in the mouth towards the end of the half pass, but the steps were really good. Again, there are nice steps in the medium trot. Just at times there's just a little bit of resistance in the mouth. Could just see the horse swinging through the back a little more and just being a little bit softer. Better half pass this way. Nice and relaxed in the walk. A good rhythm. Could maybe be marching a little bit more in the walk, but very correct. Keeping the activity in the pirouette. Nice there in the canter. A fabulous moment of suspension. Huge ground covering canter. Nice change. Very expressive in front. Just losing some of the balance there down the long side. Here, just tapping the boards. wonderful change that way, really in front of Hans-Peter's aides. Again, a really lovely change. That's Hans-Peter's trademark. I think he can get an extended canter out of every single horse that he rides. He definitely goes for it. All 4 changes, lovely and clean and expressive. They actually got better, I think, as they went along. Huge ground covering extended trot. Just like to have seen the horse a little bit more over the back in that extended trot, but down the centre line and coming into their final halt, Hans-Peter Minderhund and In Style, the stallion by Eyecatcher out of a Laurentine the First mare.
Hans-Peter Minderhund met de hengste In Style, de zoon van Eyecatcher, Laurentine en Gordon de la Bruyère, representing KWB. Mr. Hess.
Representing the Netherlands. Let's see what Mr. Hess
In
has to say.
Style is really in style, and Hans-Peter had ridden the horse in a nice way, when I say, especially in the canter and especially in the flying changes, and especially in the flying changes from left to right. That's really a highlight. Very good uphill, and in canter the horse has a nice rhythm, nice suppleness, good elasticity, and good impulsion, and we think quite a good ability to collect with good ground cover when he was performing at the long side in the extension. Therefore, we give a high mark for the canter, which is an 8.9. And we love to see the horse in the walk with a loose rein now, the free walk with a loose rein, and in the walk, when you were very careful with your hands, the walk was good in rhythm, good relaxation, and fairly good the activity. Be a little bit careful in the corner and before the pirouettes to maintain the clear 4-beat rhythm. This is a little bit a problem of the balance, therefore we don't give a clear 8, we just give it a 7.9 because of this for the walk. In the trot, clear rhythm, really an expressive way to trot this lovely horse, good from off the ground, but we think you can ride him a little bit softer with your hands so that you get a little bit more positive uphill tendency, a little bit more soft in the contact and more steady in the contact. Then the elasticity, the suppleness and the swinging back will be as a result better, but nevertheless a good mark, 8.4. The submission mark is the lowest mark, to be honest, because of the unsteadiness in the contact, and in the lateral works the horse was a little bit tilted, and the bending was not as good as we had expected it. Left side not as good as the right side, but this is not untypical for a young horse. 7.8 the mark for submission, and the prospect, we think that's a horse with a lot of potential as a dressage horse with a fairly good ability to collect and to take weight. Therefore we give an 8.7 for the 5th mark. Congratulations, good luck for the future, and have a good training with this lovely stallion.
So there we have it, an 8.34 for Hans-Peter Minderhund and In Style, an 8.4 for the trot, a 7.9 for the walk, an 8.9 for the canter, a 7.8 for the submission, and an 8.7 for perspective.
Canter,
Bit of difficulty
8-9,
getting out of the
submission
arena.
7-8 and perspective 8-7. Final result 8.34.
So
Ranked
8.34
number
puts
6.
him into
Well,
sixth
show us the results for
place.
spectator
So
judging,
far
please.
we still have Halanan and Hannenberg first in
Kijk.
and to
Well,
the
you
top
placed
with
Hans-Peter in
8.94.
style.
Then we have
The number
Bart
1,
Vries in
8.6,
second place for the
1,
Netherlands,
1.
also with
Well, it's a
8.94.
bit
And
different.
then in third place,
Only one competitor
Dinya
to
van
go
Leer,
before the break of only
8.72.
15
But
minutes.
this is the
Andreas
last horse
Housrand
before
yesterday
the
was
small
the
break.
world champion.
We have Andreas Helgestrand riding
5-year-old
Zeppelin Langholt.
horse Jovian. Now
He
he's
is
competing
by
with
Zonik
Zeppelin
NOP.
Langholt. By
And he
Zonik
is a
Steninger
Danish
and
warm
Windsor,
blood.
representing the Danish Warm Blood Society.
Andreas
The number 8,
became world
Zeppelin
champion
Langholt.
yesterday
Andreas
in the
Housrand,
5-year-olds.
Denmark.
He was also third yesterday. He won on the wonderful stallion Jovian and was third on the gorgeous mare Queen Park's Wendy. So can he make it another gold medal in the 6-year-olds? Here we have Andreas Helgestrand riding Zeppelin Langholt for Denmark. Really off the floor elastic trot. Super uphill tendency in the medium. Wonderful angle in the shoulder in. This horse looks lovely and soft. Great crossing in the half pass. Really nicely bent through the rider's inside leg. Super ground covering, medium trot again. This horse has a lovely active hind leg too. Again, a nice angle in the shoulder in. Keeping the suppleness through the circle. The circle's there to help set up this half pass. Really lovely test so far by Andreas Helgestrand. Lovely and relaxed in the walk. Taking the stretch down. A good rhythm. He's definitely marching. Could maybe for the higher marks have a little bit more freedom in the shoulder. Not the most ground covering walk we've seen so far, and just losing a little bit of activity there in the pirouette. All stuck in that second one. That's a real pity. Super steps of medium canter. Again, really covering the ground. Pretty good change, just lost his uphill tendency into the change. Wasn't completely in front of the rider's aids. Better that time. Again, a nice clean change, just losing the uphill tendency slightly. Wasn't completely straight along the long side either. Good steps in the extended counter. Much better. Just like to see slightly better balance in the canter. The ability to really sit and take the weight behind, and from that he'll get much bigger, more expressive changes. But wow, look at that extended trot. Really super, really taking the weight behind in that and pushing up. He's got a lovely active uphill trot. The crowd are loving it. And there we have it. Andreas Helgestrand and Zeppelin Langholt. Beautiful gelding by Zonik NOP, representing Danish Warm Blood Society.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen,
Andreas representing Denmark.
Judges are very expensive. The organizers have to pay a daily fee from about 100 euros, and travel costs. I think at the end of the day we don't need judges. The best judges in the world are the spectators in Ermelo. Well done, and congratulations to Andreas. To be honest, I've seen him quite often, and I think he is now a true rider for young horses. He had ridden this horse in a very, very good harmony, and the horse is able to trust him, and it was a test on a very, very high standard, to be honest. And why was it so good? Because he had the right feeling to ask, but not to over-ask the horse. To ride the horse exactly in the right tempo, to give the horse a nice feeling, so that the horse was able to trust him, and then he could ask the very best out of the horse. And this is really a secret how to ride in all tests, and especially in the tests for young horses. And therefore he started with a very, very expressive trot, and I said it in a good tempo. This is for me very important, I want to underline it. And he never had overridden the horse, he just lengthened the steps with a longer moment of suspension in both mediums and in the extended trot. And then he had ridden very smooth transitions, so that the judges and the spectators as well could see the ability to collect after a good ground cover in the extended and medium trot. Well done, 9.8, gentlemen. The walk in rhythm with a good activity, a little bit less active in the collected walk just before the Puretzen walk, therefore, but the rhythm is good, I underline this, 8.3. Could have a little bit more over track and a little bit more covering ground. Lovely, very, very well balanced canter, good in rhythm, good suppleness, good elasticity and impulsion. And what I did say in the trot is important for the canter as well to say, with a good ability to collect and a wonderful uphill tendency, 9.5. And the submission, because of the harmony, horse was lovely the whole time in front of the rider, a 9.4. And the perspective, the potential as a dressage horse, the ability to collect and to take weight, a 9.0. At 9.7, oh, I'm sorry, 9.7, therefore the highest score so far, and now we have a break. Well done, congratulations to the Danish breeders, congratulations to Andreas Hesman.
Andreas, please stay with us in the stadium.
Super fantastic scores.
We show
Look
you the
at
points
that
and
score,
the final result. For trot,
9.8, 9.8 for the trot, 8.3 for the walk, 9.5 for the canter,
perspective
9.4 for submission, and 9.7 for perspective. That is the score to beat into the lead, well and truly, for Andreas Helgestrand and Zeppelin Gold. That is the one of his first rides. He has another ride later on in this class with the wonderful Revolution. So
Zeppelin
let's
Langholt,
wait
and
and
you
see
really enjoyed the
later
test
in the
of
class,
Andreas
but here we go.
Show us the result for spectator judging. Do you
Scoreboard
agree?
so far, Andreas
yes,
Helgestrand in the lead, Zeppelin Langholt 9.34, Helen Hannenberg 8.94, Bart Fries 8.94, also Dinja van Leer 8.72,
representing the Danish Walrus Society,
8.56,
Zeppelin
Simone
Langholt
Pearce
in the lead,
8.52, Hans-Peter Minderhund 8.34, and Cecilia Christopherson with Skywalker 7.16. So we are halfway through the 6-year-old final. Join us again in around 10-15 minutes and we will be back for the second round. The first horse to go is Bernadette Brun riding Feel Free OLD. So join us again in around 10-15 minutes, and we'll look forward to the second half of the 6-year-old finals.
Ironman H 8.56. And again, representing KWBN. Watersport. The next rider will enter the arena at 5 minutes past 11. Om 5 minuten over 11, dames en heren, dan gaan we door met deel 2. We hebben 8 deelnemers gezien in deze Longines finale voor 6-jarige paarden. En dat betekent dat u er nog 7 te goed heeft. 5 minuten over 11 gaan we door. back to the Longines final for the 6-year-old horses. Hartelijk welkom, neemt uw plaatsen weer in, dames en heren, want zo aanstonds komt de volgende deelnemer alweer binnengereden. Geweldig enthousiasme hier op de tribune en dat is mooi om te zien. Prachtig hoe je ook in die laatste ritten, op die laatste lijn hier op de middenlijn, de deelnemers begeleidt met alvast een heel mooi applaus. Dat enthousiasme, zullen we dat vasthouden bij de volgende groep deelnemers. Het gaat erom spannen. De Longines FEI World Breeding Federation for Sport Horses Dressage World Breeding Championship for Young Horses. Andreas Helgstrand in the lead, Zeppelin Langholt. Representing the Danish Warmblood Society gaat op dit moment aan de leiding. Prachtige score van 9,34.
Welcome back to the Longines FEI WBFSH World Dressage Breeding Championships for young horses. We currently have Andreas Helgestrand in the lead for the 6-year-old finals, riding Zeppelin Langholt with a whopping 9.34 points. But we are on to the second half. We have just a few riders left. But next into the arena, you can see here Bernadette Brun riding Feel Free OLD, a mare by Foundation 2 out of a Sandro Hit mare. She discovered Feel Free as a foal and has trained her through the levels with the help of her assistant rider Anja Elgelbart. She is a Grand Prix rider representing Germany, riding the wonderful mare Feel Free OLD. We have Bernadette Brun for Germany. A little bit of lack of balance in the halt. Ground covering steps in the medium. I think she could maybe have had a bit more push from behind. Nice angle in the shoulder in. She looks like a lovely soft mare. Suppleness in the half pass. Lovely combination with a lot of harmony. Better in that medium trot. Suppleness in the lateral work. Not the most naturally uphill horse that we've seen today, but they're creating a really lovely, harmonious picture. This mare is super relaxed in the arena. She's marching in the walk. A lovely stretch. Oh, what a shame. A little spook there. Really active walk. Losing a tiny bit of activity in the pirouette. Just anticipating the trot as well there. Again, just slightly pivoting in that pirouette. Walk's definitely not her highlight. Just lost a bit of straightness down that long side. Good steps of medium canter. Slightly modest, I would say. I think maybe she could go for it a little bit more in the extended canter later on. Clean flying change. Again, I'd just like to see her listening a little bit more to her rider in those, just taking a little bit more weight. She's not the most balanced horse that we've seen in those changes. Yeah, slightly better in the extended canter. Again, I think a little bit modest. I think she could have gone for a little bit more there. Yeah, good flying change. That was the best one so far. Lovely extended trot. Again, the best extended trot so far in this test. I think the canter definitely helped with that. She was much more engaged behind. And into her final halt, Bernadette Brun riding Feel Free OLD. And lovely bay mare. An Oldenburg by Foundation out of a Sandro hit mare. You see Dorothy Schneider there watching on. Let's see what Christoph Hess has to say about Bernadette and Feel Free OLD.
Mr. Hess, it's up to you.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Feel Free OLD. And Bernadette was presenting this lovely, lovely mare, and the first word I was writing down was nice body language. This horse has a very nice way to move and has a very nice way to perform here, and it looks like a horse which is happy. And when we see the horse now stretching the neck, this is the goal of good riding, that we make the horses happy, that the horses love what the rider wants to do. And I think this is a good example how a horse has to be trained to become a happy horse. And I think the highest goal for the FEI is having happy athletes in the arena and in the show jumping and the cross country. So now to the trot, our first mark. Lovely in rhythm, light-footed, nice over trick. Horse could have a little bit more impulsion and has a nice frame. Therefore, we give a very good mark, which is a 9. You can applaud. 9 is a very good mark. Or are you still in the break? Then the walk. And the walk is a challenge. I explained it when we had our very first hop in the ring. The walk is a challenge, much more difficult than in the qualification, because we have the extended walk and then we have the both periods in between and before the first period, the collected walk. And the horse is okay in the rhythm, was okay and had enough relaxation, everything was good. But before E, the horse started to jog, and then before the second period, the horse jogged again. Therefore, today, not enough suppleness, not enough relaxation because of the tension, and the horse was a little bit hurried, therefore 7.7 for the walk. The canter 8.2 in rhythm, but a little bit flat, and the horse should have been a little bit more closed from behind, a little bit more activity from behind, so that the horse is accepting the bit a little bit more. The horse in a positive way has to be a little bit more through, but nevertheless a good canter 8.2, and submission just under 8, 7.9. Why? First flying change and second flying change not okay. Second flying change late behind, first flying change not honestly through, but lovely third and lovely fourth flying change. And the halt was not immobile, therefore today for the submission 7.9, but the judges think that this horse has a good perspective, has a good potential, or a very good potential as a dressage horse, and a good ability to collect and take weight. Therefore we give for this lovely horse for the 5th mark 8.6. Congratulations to Bernadette and her team.
So some good marks there for Bernadette Brun, and feel free OLD a top score of 9 for the trot, a 7.7 for the walk, 8.2 for the canter, 7.9 for submission, and 8.6 for the perspective, resulting in 8.28 points into 8th place.
Spectator judging. You placed them on the number 9, 7.798. Thank you, Bernadette Rona. Feel free.
So next into the arena, we have Bart Vries. This is his second horse in this class, this time riding Imagine, a mare KWPM by Dreamboy NOP out of a Jackson mare. They are representing the Netherlands.
The mare Imagine KWPM.
They finished last year 10th in the final of the 5-year-old with 8.56. Let's see if they can go one better this time. Coming down the centre line, we have Bart Vries on Imagine. Nice elastic uphill mare. Lovely ground cover in the trot. Good angle in the shoulder in. She looks nice and supple in her lateral work. Nice engagement of the hindquarters, slightly rushed towards the end of that medium trot. She seems very naturally active, really in front of the driving aids, as Christoph would say. Supple again in the half passes. Nice and even left to right, I feel, in those. Nice stretch in the walk. Lovely and straight on the line. Could maybe cover a little bit more ground. It's not the largest over track that we've seen so far, but really nice and active in the walk. I think there could potentially be some, oh, lovely pirouette, really lovely and active. I think the mare could potentially be a bit freer in the shoulder and the walk. Ooh. Just a bit of an issue with the submission there. Lovely steps in the medium, really forward thinking. Clear transitions. Oh, that's a real shame. She changed behind and was late in front and then just completely stumbled. Well recovered though, some nice riding from Bart. Much nicer. Nice and clean. She was swinging through the back in that change. Lovely balanced canter, nice and straight in the counter. Again, some problems with the flying change in that direction. I think that could be a greater moment of suspension, especially in those extended and medium canters. I'd like to see her slightly more with an uphill tendency. Much better change. So good second and fourth changes. Some nice steps in the extended trot, maybe a little hurried. I think if she was able to take a little bit more weight behind in that, could slow the tempo and really reach for that extension. But a really super test there from Bart Fries riding Imagine, the lovely 6-year-old KWPN mare by Dream Boy NOP out of a Jackson mare.
Dream Boy Jackson and Ultrason rijden door Bart Vezen, representing KWPN.
The second horse in this class is currently sitting in third place. Let's see
Bart
what
is one of our riders who has
Christoph
two
to say.
horses here in the final. We have to give him a special applause because this is really hard work, a lot of concentration, and you have to be a true good rider to be able to qualify two horses on this level here in Ermelo in the final. Well done. And we start with a trot. It's an active trot, nice and risen, supple. Horse should have a little bit more impulsion, and the horse was slightly hurried in the medium trot. And the horse was, as we could see, quite good here from the short side, was a little bit wide behind, but the potential of the trot is not bad. When the horse starts to swing more, is using more the back, then the mark will be higher, but today, easy and 8.3. The horse, which is elegant, light-footed in the trot, has a good walk as well, clear in rhythm, and what we think the horse is trainable, very trainable, because the rhythm is really secure, really safe. Therefore, he had a safe rhythm before and between the periods. To get a really high score, the horse has to have a little bit more over track. But the good thing is that the horse comes good or fairly good out of the shoulders. 8.2 for the walk. The canter A good split in the hind legs and a nice rhythm, good uphill tendency. Okay, today he had some problems with the flying changes, but before we say something to this, we have to say that Cantor has a good potential with his uphill tendency and a good ability for collection. Today, 8.3. And the submission is the lowest mark so far for the day. The horse has a steady contact, but the horse should be in the lateral work a little bit more parallel, more bending. In the half passes, the horse was a little bit tilted and not enough bended. And the pole was not highest point, but okay, we are sure that will be better when the horse is more collected, is using the hind legs more as today. But the main problem was the flying change from right to left. Both flying changes had a problem. Therefore, the first flying change with a big mistake, everybody could see it, and the third flying change was quite interesting. The horse was late in the front. Lovely flying change, second and fourth. Therefore, the flying changes to the right side much better than to the other side. Therefore, today, just a 7.8 for the submission, and the perspective, the potential as a dressage horse, we think it's a very trainable horse, 8.5.
So there we have it, a total score of 8.22 points
And
and
then
a
I
rank
shall
9
repeat
for
the
Bart
points for
Fries
trot 8.3,
with Imagine.
walk 8.2,
So we
canter
had an
8.3,
8.3
submission
for the
7,
trot, an
8,
8.2 for the
perspective
walk,
8.5.
an 8.3
Final
again for
result
the
by
canter,
Fraser
a
and
7.8
Imagine.
for submission,
Representing
and an
KWBN,
8.5 for
2
perspective,
points. The rank
putting
number 9.
him into ninth
Spectator
place
judging
with
show us the result.
8.22. With that lovely mare,
You placed,
Imagine,
Bart Fraser
by
on
Bart,
number 8
ridden by
with
Bart
8.1
Fries.
to 3 points. That's
Imagine is by Dream Boy
almost
NOP
the
out
same
of a
result as the
Jackson
judges.
mare. So
Well
he
done.
keeps
Als
his
eerste
third
van
place
start
with
in
his
de
other horse
kwalificatie zet
stallion
direct een prachtig
Imposantos.
resultaat neer. Hij gaat
But
nu van
into
start
the
in de
arena
Longines
now,
finale voor de
we
16-jarige
have Robin
paard.
van Leerop
Ladies and gentlemen,
riding
number 11
Zumgluck
voor de Nederlands.
RS2
Robin van Leerop
OLD,
met de
a
hengst
bay
Zumgluck
stallion,
RS2.
an Oldenburg,
De
another
zoon
by
van
Zonik
Zonik van
NOP,
Floristan.
and out
Green.
of a Floristan
Rijdt hier voor het Duitse
mare.
quotum, representing Oldenburgers.
Robin van Leerop is
Zumgluck
representing
RS2.
the
Robin
Netherlands,
van Leerop.
and coming down the centre line, Robin van Leerop riding Zumgluck RS2 OLD. Thinking slightly backwards into the first hold, took a step back and not quite square. Bit of tension in the mouth just before they started the medium trot, but lovely uphill tendency, really covering the ground. Very expressive stallion. Lovely elastic trot. Shows a really good ability to collect. I think there's going to be a really good passage in there for the future. Again, just a little bit of tension in that corner before the medium trot. You can just see him opening his mouth. And again there, coming back. Looking nice and supple in the lateral work. maybe stretch a little bit more in that extended walk. You know, that he has stretched a little bit, but I think he could really relax, and that would just encourage a little bit more swing through the body in the walk. He's lost a bit of activity going into the pirouette, but actually managed to maintain it through the pirouette nicely. Uphill medium canter. Fantastic moment of suspension. Lovely clean flying change. Little reward there afterwards. Nice, a little bit croup high in that one, but a clean change nonetheless. Lost a little bit of suppleness around that turn there. Another lovely change. Super extended canter, and again really showing a clear difference between the working canter and the extension. Better that time. Nice flying change. This horse seems to have a really lovely perspective and outlook, really helping his rider and really working together well. It's a harmonious picture. Again, just opening his mouth slightly in the medium work in the trot. But down the centre line, the crowd are really appreciating this test. That's Robin van Lierop riding Zucrow RS2 OLD. A fantastic test there from the stallion, who is by Zonik NOP out of a Floristan mare representing the Netherlands. He looked like he loved every moment of that. Let's hear what Christoph Hess has to say.
Zum Glück RS2. Für den Oldenburger Radverband met de Nederlander Robin van Lierop, rijdend voor het Duitse quotum.
So, ladies and gentlemen, before I give my comment, you have to learn a little bit German. Zum Glück is a Dutch version of zum Glück. In Germany, we would say zum Glück with an Ü. But I love this horse. I love the rider who was the very first rider on Friday morning, and he was at the end of the day third place in the qualification, and we think that's a lovely, lovely horse, a very trainable horse, a willing horse. Maybe today the horse was a little bit lazy, but this is a very, very small comment which I will give. I'm not sure that that is the right way when I say lazy. But in trot, the horse has a nice overtrack, could push a little bit more from the behind, and the activity in the hind legs, especially in the medium and in the extended trot, could be a little bit more expressive. But nevertheless, the mark for the trot, because the collected trot is a lovely trot, we give an 8.5. The walk, very relaxed. Interesting is when you watch the front legs, we had the feeling that there is a little bit of tension, but the horse is clear in rhythm, and the horse has a prospect for doing at the end of the day all the different paces in the walk. Therefore we give it 8.4 for the walk. The canter, nice in the frame and a nice extension with a good open throat ledge and a well-stretched neck. No doubt, nearly a 9, and we can see it here, how lovely, with a long moment of suspension, the horse is here in the medium canter on the right-hand side on the circle, 8.9. And the halt was a little bit too early, therefore I now give a short explanation for the submission. And the mouth was sometimes open, and in the half passes we need a little bit more bend, and the circle line, the volte, left and right, was a little bit too big. This we can see easy when we sit just around the arena. 8.4 for submission, and we think that this horse will have a good future as a dressage horse. Therefore we give an 8.8 for the perspective and the potential as a dressage horse. Good luck for you, good luck for Zum Glück, Zum Glück.
And there we have it,
Nice
an
words.
impressive 8.6 points for Zum Glück RS2 OLD, ridden by Robin van der Ropp for the Netherlands. 8.5 for the trot, 8.4 for the walk, 8.9 for the canter, 8.4 submission, and 8.8 for perspective, putting them into 5th place. We have 4 horses left in this 6-year-old final. Next into the arena is Matthias Alexander Rath with the stallion Destacado FRH. I think Zum Glück wasn't so keen on coming out of the arena. He was enjoying the applause too much.
Wat we nemen hier van Zum Glück, RS2, Robin van Lierop. Nou, de jury zetten hem op plaats nummer 5. The judges ranked him as number 5.
Still in the lead we have
Spectator judging
Andreas
shows the result
Halgerstrand
7,
for
8,
Denmark
4,
with
3,
9.34, riding Zeppelin Langholt.
Zum Glück.
But into the arena now we have Matthias Alexander Rath
de nummer 2
riding Destacado FRH.
Approved stallion
Matthias
Destacado FRH.
Also famous for riding the incredible Totalist stallion off the back of Edward Gal.
En nou gaat het spannend worden, dames en heren.
Destacado is by Desperados out of a Londonderry mare. Destacado actually means outstanding, so let's see if they can do an outstanding performance today. Horse just resting his near hind leg in the halt. Really beautiful elastic trot. Maybe I've had a bit more engagement from the hind leg in the medium, just for those extra few marks. Very striking stallion. Nice and soft through the lateral work. Half pass could maybe have had a little bit more bend through the rider's inside leg, and again on that corner I'd have liked to have just seen him bend more through the corner to set up the medium, but A lovely long medium trot. Nice and soft through the shoulder in. Much better this way in the lateral work. Just more bend, more suppleness in this direction. A nice march in the medium, in the extended walk, sorry. You can see purpose in the walk. Good over track. Keeping the activity in the collected walk before the pirouettes. Massive ground cover. Really big over track, and that makes it slightly more difficult for Matthias to be able to collect it ready for the pirouettes. Good job keeping the activity. Nice and forward in the medium canter. I'd like to see a little bit more uphill tendency in the canter. He's beautifully uphill in the trot. Just loses a little bit of that in the canter. Better there. Nice flying change. Just lost a bit of straightness in that change. Just see him become a little bit crooked afterwards. Super extended canter, really uphill, lengthening the frame as well as the stride, and some really clear transitions into and out of the extended canter. This horse shows a great ability to collect in the canter, and that gave him a good flying change. Just lost a bit of fluency in that transition to trot, but recovered nicely. And a good extended trot. Again, the crowd getting super excited for Matthias Alexander Rath coming into his final halt with the wonderful Destacado FRH, a Hanoverian stallion by Desperados out of a Londonderry mare.
What a spirit in this stadium, Destacado
Gorgeous chestnut
FRH.
stallion. Really super test. They were fourth here in the qualifier with 9 the other day. What can they do today? Let's find out.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Destacado FRH is a horse, a wild horse. And I think A wow horse needs a wow mark. What do you think? What is the wow mark for this horse? The walk. And the walk is, Matthias is a 10. Why? Because the horse has a lovely, lovely overtrack, a lovely, lovely rhythm, a wonderful relaxation in all parts of the walk. And have a look, the horse has a lovely body balance and is balanced mentally. When you see a horse in the walk like this, keep it in mind, that's very clear, very near to perfection at 10. The trot, lovely in the suppleness, and the horse was the whole time easy going, not a percent of tension. Lovely, lovely, lovely. And maybe in the medium and in the extended trot, the hind legs had a little bit high hocks, but it was still a nice and much over track. Therefore, we give a 9.2 for the trot. The canter, good in rhythm, fairly good in suppleness, good elasticity, and we love the natural balance. Today the horse was not exactly straight in the extended canter. Therefore we were discussing it, and I will discuss later the flying changes. Is it a 9 or is it not a 9? Then we decided just under 9, 8.9 for the canter. Oh, I just hear I had the trot a little bit too low, 9.3 for the trot. 9.0 is a mark for the submission. Why? Lovely lateral work, very good bending, very good flexion, and horse, and this we love very much, the way he's doing all these things, absolutely trained into the right direction, always supple, always a good contact. This is what we love to see. The weak point today, we have to be honest, are the flying changes. The first flying change a little bit against your left hand, and the third flying change was a little bit anticipating. Second and fourth flying change, good. To be honest, the last flying change, the fourth flying change, was the very best one. And we think it's a very lovely, willing, supple horse, easy going. This is a picture we want to see. Therefore, the perspective, the potential as a dressage horse, 9.4. Congratulations, brilliant marks.
Some really, really super marks there for Matthias, putting him into second place.
Wow,
he is riding the approved stallion Destacado FRH, the Hanoverian by Desperados. So here are the scores: 9.3 for the trot, a 10 for the walk, the first 10 that we've seen for the walk today, 8.9 for canter, 9 submission, 9.4 perspective, 9.32 points for Matthias Alexander Rath, putting him into a very close second point. We have Andreas Helgestrand in the lead, riding Zeppelin Langholt with a 9.34, so 0.02 in between Andreas and Matthias. It is getting interesting. We have just 3 riders left to go, and into the arena now we have Anne-Katrin Winkamp riding for Germany. She's riding just perfect, the Dark Bay Stallion, the Danish Warm Blood by Johnson, out of a De Niro 6 mare.
Right. This moment, the third place, straight Horse Ascenzione, again the Danish Warm Blood Society.
The other day in the qualifier they
For the
were
Danish
5th
Warm Blood
with
Society,
an 8.8 for the trot, a 9 for the walk, an 8.4 for the canter, 8.8 for submission, and an 8.8 for perspective, gaining them 8.76 points for 5th place, just behind Matthias Alexander Rath. So let's see what happens today. Coming down the centre line and Christine Wienkamp riding the stallion Just Perfect. Will they do a Just Perfect test? Super uphill stallion. I don't think he could be downhill if he tried. Really beautifully extending that frame and extending that trot there. Wonderfully elastic, really using that hind leg. Nice and supple through the lateral work. Tracking up nicely in the medium trot. Again, for the higher marks in the trot, you would want to see an overtrack in the medium, like we did with the last horse. But beautifully supple, again in the lateral work. He seems even from left to right. Again, a horse with another very good walk. Hasn't quite got the level of overtrack that we saw from Matthias's horse, but really marching, using his body. Good ground cover in the medium walk, keeping that activity nicely through the pirouettes. Again, really good ability to collect in the walk, especially as he's got such a large overtrack. It can be tricky, but he performed that really nicely. Lovely ground cover in the canter. Could maybe see a moment longer of suspension. Good clean change. Just slightly losing that uphill tendency a little bit in the canter. I'd like to see the nose a little bit more open. You can just see it creeping behind the vertical, only slightly, but still just there. Nicely on the aids though. I think ultimately this horse just needs to be able to take a little bit more weight behind in the canter to just change the balance so it's more uphill. He's so naturally built uphill that with a bit of time that should be fairly easy for him. Again, another nice clean change. That's better there. Really good in the extended canter. That's where you can really see him take the weight more behind and come up into that nice frame. Good change. Again, just want to see the pole at the highest point. A little bit early back to trot. Oh, just lost the balance. What a shame. Look at that. Super towards the end. Just lost the balance there at the beginning. Such a pity when he has such a wonderful extended trot. And a lovely finish there. Well ridden by Anne-Kristin Wienkamp, riding just perfect. The gorgeous dark bay Danish warm blood stallion by Johnson,
representing the
out of a De Niro 6 mare. Anne-Kristin Wienkamp riding for Germany, but the horse is from Denmark.
Yeah,
let's
ladies
see
and
what Christoph
gentlemen,
has to say.
just perfect. To be honest, I have to say nearly perfect. We had a very, very high score in mind when we saw the horse in the beginning of the trot, and we said it's a 9 in front of the comma, and now you learn a little bit how judges are doing it, and then we said we want to see the last extension in trot, and Christine, you had nearly maybe a 9.4, something like this, and then you had this mistake, but this mistake was a little bit, yeah, we had the feeling you had sometimes a little bit of strong contact. It looked lovely, but if you are a little bit more soft, then the horse will find a little bit more balance, and then everybody could see it. The horse lost the balance. Then there was a clear mistake when crossing center line in the last diagonal. Therefore, for the trot, with a lot of potential, lovely hind leg, and in all other parts, lovely the way the horse was swinging in the trot movement, 8.6. The walk, have a look, lovely in the rhythm, good relaxation, good activity, good covering the ground, and in all parts, especially before and after the periods, everything was good. We were thinking a high 9, and we give a 9.6 for the walk, because we think this is a walk you can use very good to bring the horse to a higher level. In the canter, the horse has a good possibility to maintain the rhythm, good suppleness, good elasticity, and everything is more, or would be better if the horse would swing a little bit more over the back. But the horse has the possibility to cover the ground and has a good ability to collect after the extended canter. But I think the more the horse is uphill, today the horse was not the whole time in the canter really uphill in front of you, was often behind the vertical, and the pole was not the highest point. It was a little bit a tendency of downhill. The more you have the horse in front of you, the higher the mark will be. Today you get an 8.4. Therefore, for the submission, because you had a lovely contact and connection in the trot work and in the walk, in the canter not so good, therefore we have to give a little bit a lower mark, 8.1, but you had lovely flying changes, and to be honest, we couldn't believe it when we saw the canter, and the horse was a little bit short in the neck, a little bit short in the throat ledge not enough open. Lovely, or a fairly good flying changes, therefore 8.1 for the submission, and we think it's a lovely, very, very willing horse, and had today some problems with the contact, but at the end of the day, it's a really wonderful horse for the international arena, therefore an 8.8 for the perspective. It's a horse with a lot of potential as a dressage horse. Well done, congratulations to you and the whole Danish team.
So there we have Anne-Kristin Wienkamp going into 6th place with just perfect, with a total of 8.7 points, 8.6 for the trot, 9.6 for the walk, 8.4 for the canter, 8.1 for submission, and 8.8 for perspective for this wonderful Danish warm blood stallion by Johnson TN out of the De Niro 6 mare.
The points were almost okay, but the ranking
So
just perfect.
here he comes.
Laatste twee
On
combinaties.
his
Only
second
two
horse,
competitors
we
to go.
have
Who will be the
Andreas
new world champion?
Helgestrand
This was the
riding
world champion
Revolution.
in 2018.
He was the world champion
Please,
last
full
year.
concentration for Revolution.
He scored a 9.62 last year in the 5-year-olds, with Matthias Rath just behind on that wonderful stallion that we saw earlier, Destacado FRH. He is in the lead at the moment with his other horse, Zeppelin Langholt. This horse, Revolution, is by Rocky Lee out of a Roletto mare. And with a winning bid of 1.2 million euros at just 2 years old, Revolution broke the record for all German stallion auctions at the Hanoverian licensing in Verden in the autumn of 2015, where he was awarded Premium Stallion. So in they come, Andreas Helgestrand riding the approved stallion, Revolution. Can they go into the lead? That hind leg is just something else. Incredible. The engagement. He's matched equally behind as he is in front. Just looks so free, really swinging through the back in the trot. Beautifully supple. Has he got any more in there for the extended trot at the end of the test? Really nice uphill tendency in the trot. Just so elastic. He's got the perfect balance in the trot as well. He's forward, but he's not rushing, giving him that moment of suspension in the trot. They were second in the 6-year-old qualifier, behind Frederick von Dres, who is last to go in this class. They scored a 9.42 in the qualifier. If they can get the same score again, they will go into the lead, and it would be an Andreas 1-2. Nice active walk. Just losing the activity slightly for the pirouette. You can just see Andreas using the spur, just stepped wide there in that pirouette. Incredible medium canter. The ground he's covering. Lovely transitions into and out of the medium strides. Oh, late in front in that flying change. Not completely on his aids. Lovely moment of suspension in the canter, really off the floor. Better that time. Just could have been more forward into the flying change. points in the canter. Much better. That's an extended canter and a half. Really covering the ground. Nice uphill tendency. I think there's even more in the tank in there for the future. Yeah, the flying change is definitely not the highlight for Andreas and Revolution today. The extended trot most definitely is. And coming into their final halt. What a test from Andreas Helgestrand riding Revolution. The stunning Westphalian stallion by Rocky Lee out of a Roletto mare. Representing Denmark, Andreas Helgestrand.
Stallion, Revolution and Andreas Helgestrand.
What a test. We have just one more
the world
horse to
champion
go.
of
So
2018.
he's definitely on the podium with
Mr.
Zeppelin Langholt. Can he do it again with
I'm
Revolution?
not sure whether we had seen a Revolution, but this is riding on a very, very high level, and this is a horse with unbelievable good gait. Have a look to the walk and have a look how relaxed the horse is now after this test. And I love it to see him with a long rein and a well-stretched neck. Very, very good in rhythm, with a nice relaxation, with a natural activity and a good covering ground. Therefore, we think when we saw him in the test, we had given a 9 for this gait. Have a look how he moves. 9-0 for the walk. Thank you very much indeed. And then we have one mark which is lower than a 9. And what you think the mark is, I hope you will agree, is a submission. Why? Because today everything was lovely. Lovely in front of the rider, lovely lateral work, very well balanced, good bending, good flexion, good pirouettes and walk. Everything was lovely presented. There was a butt, and the butt was the flying change. First flying change late, not late in the front with the front leg, and the last flying change was late behind. Therefore, the flying changes are, to be honest, a weak point. Therefore, not a 9, but an 8.8. And I think it's important for the spectators to see the step from 5 to 6 is a really difficult step. 4 flying changes here in the arena is a real big challenge for the horse. And now the canter, lovely uphill, a wonderful mechanic, a lovely contact, very, very good in rhythm, and a natural balance, which is amazing. 9.6 for the canter. And I did forget 2 marks. Do you agree when we give this lovely horse, which is easy in rhythm, which is not hurried, keeps the rhythm lovely in all parts of the test in the trot work, when we give him a 10 for the trot? And the perspective of the horse, the ability, do you agree if we say it's a wow horse and we give a 9.8? Wow, wow, wow.
So into the lead, Andreas Helgestrand on the incredible Revolution. He scored the first 10 that we've seen today for the trot, a 9 for the walk, a 9.6 for the canter, an 8.8 for the submission, and a 9.8 for the perspective, 9.44 for the total. Just think what that would have been if we'd have had clean flying changes. I think we could have seen another 10 on that. So In rank 1 and rank 2, Andreas Helgestrand in the lead with Revolution, and in second place with Zeppelin Langholt. This happened yesterday in the 5-year-olds. He was in the lead for a really long time.
You placed him
He
also
was
on the number
the
1,
gold medalist and the bronze medalist yesterday in the 5-year-olds. What's going to happen today? He's guaranteed again 2 top 3 places, but if anybody's going to stand in his way of that top spot on the podium, it's going to be this man. Fredrik von Dres riding Zucrow OLD, the Bay Stallion Oldenburg by Zonik NOP, out of a Prince Thatch XX mare. This horse won the qualifiers. It was close again. They scored a 9.5 for the trot, a 9.5 for the walk, and a 9.5 for the canter, a 9 for the submission, and a 9.8 for perspective. And they just pipped Revolution to the post by 0.02 points. Can they do it again today in this 6-year-old final? Let's wait and see. So just starting their test, Fredrik von Dres with Zucrow OLD. Very impressive stallion. Again, beautiful hind leg. Lovely steps in the medium trot, over tracking beautifully. This horse, I feel, has a great energy about him. Nice and soft and supple into the half passes. And through the shoulder in. Lovely outlook. Just getting a little bit tense towards the end of that medium trot. Just lost his balance slightly halfway through. Angle in the half pass, really nice bend and flexion. This horse seems really at one with himself in the arena. Loads of confidence, so relaxed, really walking through his whole body there in the extended walk. Fantastic rhythm and a really big loose walk with a huge overtrack. Lost the balance slightly over the center line there. Keep that activity. Nicely done in the first pirouette. And again in the second. Beautifully off of Fredrik's aids into the canter. This is going to be so close. Wonderful uphill canter. Could have maybe gone for it a little bit more. I think that medium canter was slightly modest. Good change. Just lost a little bit of throughness, but it was clean. Good change again. This horse really listening to his rider. so tense. You can feel the tension in the arena. Another super change. We know that Andreas and Revolution lost marks for the submission, getting an 8.8. If Frederick can get a high mark for that, it's going to be really close between the two of them. I feel like it's losing a little bit of the jump in the canter now. Just feel like I want to go. Good change though. Nice pat there from Frederick. Don't push too much in this final extension. Lovely. Oh, the crowd getting excited already. Really appreciating that extended trot. What a cheer, what a way to finish this 6-year-old final. Frederick Fondras riding the amazing approved stallion, Zucrow OLD. What an honour and a privilege to watch that. Absolutely incredible. His team look delighted. That was a test and a half. I really don't know. I wouldn't like to call it. Who's going to come out on top? Let's find out from Christoph Hess.
The approved Oldenburger stallion Zucrow. Well, Mr. Hess, up to you.
Oh. It is easier to be a spectator and not to make decisions. Frederick, what do you think? So, or so? Aha! Okay, riders have to think positive. And I think the spectators had a nice feeling. They had a nice feeling how the test works. And to be honest, this was a test, and we had seen now 15 horses, and it's from the dramaturgy, we say in Germany. It was really amazing having him as the last horse, and we had seen that many horses had problems with the 4 flying changes, but this horse was lovely in the flying changes. It was a proper horse which is on this level, and yeah, it is something like this, that a horse at the end of the day, when we had seen it from the judge's point of view, all parts of the test, then we have to make the decision which horse is closest on this level with lateral work, with the flying changes, with all the other parts. And we think this horse is very close to which we want to see, or what level we want to see. And I start now with a trot. It's a lovely, lovely trot with a lot of suspension and good self-carriage and nice contact. Sometimes we had the feeling the contact was a little bit too strong, but the rider was able always to give a little bit a nicer feeling the horse, so the horse looks that he loves to do the trot work, including the lateral work, and therefore we give for this good rhythm, the suppleness and the nice elasticity, the good impulsion, a 9.7 for the trot. And in the walk, the horse was relaxed in the whole body, not now, but during the test. Nice rhythm and a good activity and a good covering ground. And there was a little bit of tension in the medium, but the rider did a good job. When the tension came, he was able to bring the horse back to the relaxation, which was good. 9.4 for the walk. And the canter has a lovely, lovely natural balance. And when I started my comment, I said the horse was closest to perfection in the flying changes of these 15 horses. And it's very good to have a horse which has such a good natural balance. and a lovely rhythm, good suppleness, a good elasticity, and a lovely covering ground. And the horse was straight and was able for the collection and the ability to do this. We could see easily at K when the horse came back after the extension. What we see now on the screen, a lovely, lovely extension and a good open throat ledge, a well-stretched neck. Therefore, a 9.7 for the canter, a 9.7 for the submission, and a 9.8 for the perspective potential as a massager. Congratulations, this is a winner. What an amazing final. Thank you to the organizers. Thank you to the riders, trainers, breeders, and horse owners. An unbelievable level we had seen here, an unbelievable event, this Young Horses Championship in Ermelo. Thank you to everybody, and congratulations, the winner, Frederick Wanders.
So he's done it. Frederick Vondres has won the 6-year-old World Breeding Championship for young horses in the 6-year-old. He gained a 9.7 for the trot, a 9.4 for the walk, a 9.7 for the canter, and again for submission, 9.8 for the perspective, 9.66 in total, well into the lead. An absolutely fantastic test, really, really beautifully well ridden by Frederick Vondres, and he is the new world champion 6-year-old. Beautiful to watch. What an honour. We've had the most incredible horses in this class. How lucky are we to witness this? So our new world champion, Frederick Vondres, with Zucrow OLD 9.66. Taking the silver is Andreas Helgestrand on Revolution, that wonderful stallion, 9.44. And close behind him is Andreas Helgestrand on Zeppelin Langholt, 9.34. Then we had Mattis Alexander Rath, Destacado FRH, 9.32. Bart Vries with 8.49. Helen Hannenberg first in, 8.94 in 5th place with Bart. In 7th, Tanya. In 9th, Robin Zumgluck, 8.6. And Yvonne Osterholm, Ironman H with 8.5. What a fantastic 6-year-old final we've had today. Some really, really, truly wonderful horse and rider combinations. Just getting ready for the prize giving now. So afterwards in this arena, we will be watching the CDI 3-star Grand Prix Freestyle presented by Helgestrand Dressage. That starts at 1 o'clock Central European time, and then at 3 o'clock this afternoon Central European time we have the Longines final for 7-year-old horses, with 15 of the horses coming forward for that 7-year-old final. It is definitely going to be one to watch, so make sure you join us later for that. We have some top horse and rider combinations coming forward for that. We have Davy, ridden by Severo Eduardo Lopez, who was the winner of the 6-year-olds here last year. Dorothy Schneider, Stephanie Wolf, both for Germany. Isabel Fries, Adelinda Cornelissen, just to name a few. Mika Lang, we've seen her with a few rides in this competition. Dinja Van Leer, we saw her earlier on in this class. So it is all to play for this afternoon for the 7-year-old final, starting at 3 o'clock Central European time. We kick off with Jenna Holberg riding Astoria. That is at 3 o'clock, the final for the 7-year-old horses, but at the moment we are just waiting for the prize giving for the finals of the 6-year-old horses. We're going to have the top 8 coming through for the prize giving. It's been such a wonderful competition so far. Andreas yesterday taking home the gold medal with his wonderful stallion Jovian, and also coming third we had Secret in second place. Again, it was so tight at the top in the 5-year-old championships yesterday. We were so lucky to have such a fantastic competition. We had Jovian with Andreas on 9.66, the same score actually that was won on here today with Frederick van der Es. And in second we had Jessica Lynn Thomas riding Secret. But now
ceremony for the
we turn to the prize giving for the Longines final of the 6-year-old horses.
We start with
so
the number 8.
In 8th place we have Ann-Kristin Wienkamp riding Just Perfect. They scored 8.7 points. They are representing Germany, but this is a Danish warm blood by Johnson out of a De Niro 6 mare. A wonderful stallion for the future. Just Perfect, Ann-Kristin Wienkamp. In 7th place
He was a little bit frightened.
he didn't want to come back into the arena, but here we go. 7th place we have Independent Little Me, Dinja van Leer, representing Holland, the Netherlands. KWPN stallion Uno Don Diego out of a San Remo mare, and she's into the arena to get her lap of honour in 7th place with a fantastic 8.72 points. We will see Dina later in the 7-year-olds. Into 5th place, equal 5th, we have Helena Hannenberg with Straight Horse Ascenzione, 8.94, as well as Bart Fries on Imposantos with 8.94 points, equal 5th for the two. And in 4th place, Matthias Alexander Rath, Destacado FRH on the beautiful stallion, 9.32 points, with a lovely 10 in there for this horse's incredible walk. Some amazing horses that we've seen today. So as Matthias Alexander Rath and Destacado FRH leave the arena, it makes way for our top 3.
We go to the numbers 3, 2, and 1.
So again, like yesterday, we have Andreas Helgestrand taking up 2 of the top
Members of the
3
protocol, Mr.
positions.
Van Kempen, the chairman of the FEI Dressage Committee, and on behalf of Longines Netherlands, Linda Kosters, the president of the World Breeding Federation for Sport Horses, Mr. Jan Petersen, the president of the organizing committee, Aad Bot, and the president of the Crown Jury, mevrouw Annette Franse Jacobeus, onze Zweedse jurylid. Zij zijn met ons in afwachting van de nummers 1, 2 en 3. En ik begrijp dat ze eraan komen. Dus wat mij betreft kunt u met het applaudisseren beginnen. Eentje komt aan de hand binnen.
So here he comes, the winner of the final of the 6-year-old World Championships, our new world champion Frederik von Dres, riding Zucrow OLD, that wonderful test that we saw. Last to go with a trot of 9.7, a walk of 9.4, a canter of 9.7, submission for 9.7, and perspective for 9.8, a total of 9.66 to take the world champion 6-year-old final. Beautiful stallion, Zucrow OLD. And then in second place, just behind him, Andreas Helgestrand riding another wonderful stallion, Revolution. A 10 for the trot, a 9 for the walk, a 9.6 for the canter, an 8.8 for submission, and a 9.8 for perspective, with a total of 9.44. And then in third place, Andreas Helgestrand again, Zeppelin Langholt for Denmark, a 9.8 for the trot, an 8.3 for the walk, a 9.5 for the canter, a 9.4 for submission, a 9.7 for perspective, and a total of 9.34 to take the bronze in the 6-year-old World Championships. A wonderful gelding, the owner taking the prize.
The breeder of Zeppelin Langholt, Ole Magnus Jensen and Bente.
A wonderful final for the 6-year-old championships we've had. I'll let you enjoy the prize giving now, but make sure you join us back here at 1 o'clock Central European time for the Grand Prix freestyle to music.
Then we go to the number 2.
And then later on this afternoon, 3 o'clock Central European time, the Longines final for the 7-year-old horses. Make sure you join us for those classes. But here is the prize giving for your new world champion in the 6-year-old finals, Frederik von Dres, and the beautiful Zucrow OLD.
Was the silver plate. The Longines final for 6-year-old horses, ladies and gentlemen, the new world champion is Zucrow Frederik von Dres, representing Oldenburger Verband. Star Horses, de eigenaar van deze Zucrow, de heer Hans-Heinrich Bruning, die neemt hier de gelukwensen in ontvangst als fokker van deze Zucrow. And there, the beautiful golden plates, golden FEI plates, hand over by Mr. Kamperman on behalf of the FEI. Well, ladies and gentlemen, please all rise for the national anthem of Germany, Oldenburger Verband, because of the gold medal winner. Zucrow, representing in Oldenburger verband. Dan treedt nu naar voren mevrouw Linda Kosterse namens Longines Nederland. En mevrouw Kosterse biedt de winnaar Frederik Wanders een prachtig, beautiful Longines watch. That's the moment also for the photographers. Prachtig plaatje met zo'n prachtig Longines horloge hier aangeboden door mevrouw Linda Kosters, die nu ook de overige prijswinnaars gaat feliciteren. En dat is natuurlijk Andreas Hellstand met Revolution, dat Westfälische Stammbuch. En op de derde plaats Zeppelin Langholt, de zoon van Zonik, als Stedinger. Ook gereden door Andreas Hellstand. Zo, mevrouw Kolsters treedt terug. En nou, Mr. Jan Pedersen aan het bod en mevrouw Annette Franse Jacobeus aan de prijswinnaars feliciteren. They hand over the certificates to the breeders. De breeders is Heinrich Brunning, die Zucrow. En daar de gelukwensen overgebracht door meneer Aad Bot namens de organisatie. En daar ons jurylid mevrouw Annette Franse Jacobeus die hier de bloemen overhandigt. Jasmin Yannick, de fokker van Revolution, de breeder of Revolution. En de owners Grunborg, Kasperzak en Hellstand Dressage for the number 3. Well, congratulations by Mrs. Annette Franse Jacobeus from Sweden. Ja, dit zijn toch ook wel weer de kampioenschappen van Andreas Hellstand. Ik denk als ik het hem vraag, dat Ermelo een hele favoriete plek is voor hem. Andreas, I think you like Ermelo. Yeah, he likes Ermelo. Yes, of course. For the second and the third prize, and yesterday he was the world champion. And there for Zeppelin Langholt, for the breeder Ole Magnus Jensen and Bente Krasbel, and the owners Hellstand Dressage en Service Est. En gereden dus door Andreas Hellstand, Zeppelin Langholt. Thank you, Mr. Pedersen, Agot, and Mrs. Annette Franse Jacobeus. Well, just one thing left, but a beautiful thing. Nou, eens even kijken wat we met de ereronde gaan doen. Ja, dat lijkt me een wijs besluit. Eén keer een mooi applaus. And now we start the lap of honor. Daar komen ze voorbij, de nieuwe wereldkampioen Zucrow, de nummer 2 Revolution. team, thank you once again. What a beautiful sport it is. Longines final for 6-year-old horses. Zucrow representing in Oldenburger Verband, the new world champion.